The roar. Inside silence. Even in the deepest, most ancient silences of history, there exist some names, rare, resonant, untamed, whose echoes continue to roar across the winds, long after centuries have crumbled into dust. Today, we descend to the very roots of such a roar. They say history is not merely a collection of brittle words pressed between the yellowing pages of time. It is a living pulse, a rhythm that carries the thundering heartbeats of those who once commanded the world. It holds within it the trembling breath that raced through the chest of a soldier thousands of years ago as he charged forward on horseback, eyes set upon the enemy, fate galloping beside him. History remembers footsteps. Those that carved the earth anew, those that raised empires, and those that reduced them to ash. Time moves forward. Yes, but history is like a relentless river. It does not halt, does not pause. Its current carries everything that ever dared to change the world. Within that river, a few names rise like mountains above the tide, names that refuse to be imprisoned within borders, flags, or tribes. Names that rise higher than oceans, that travel beyond civilizations, and burn eternally within the collective memory of humanity. Their influence is never confined to a city, a kingdom, or even a continent. They become flames, slowly, steadily sweeping across the entire world. One such name. A name that did not merely shift empires, but altered the very direction of time itself. And today, we stand at the threshold of that name. A name that made mighty empires tremble. A warrior whose army's movements sent tremors through royal lineages, whose horses' hooves echoed from the icy mountains of the east to the scorching deserts of the west. His shadow spread like waves, vast, unstoppable, so powerful that even after centuries, its echo still vibrates across the pages of history. This is the story of Genghis Khan, a storm that redrew the map of the world. But every storm begins with the faintest tremor. The tremor of this story began with the birth of a child, the birth of destiny, the year 1162. Mongolia's icy winds slashed across the endless steppes. Snow shimmered like silver frost upon mountains that conversed with the sky. The sprawling grasslands stretched so far that the horizon itself felt tired trying to contain them. In the midst of these boundless plains stood a lone tent, fragile yet more significant than any palace inside that tent. A cry split the silence, a cry that was not merely a sound, but a prophecy for the ages. A child had been born. His name, Temujin. Legend says the infant emerged with a blood clot clenched in his fist. In Mongol tradition, this was no ordinary occurrence. It was a sign, a burning omen that the child was destined for power, conflict, and storms that would shake the world. His mother, Hoelun, held the newborn against her chest, looked into his fierce, unblinking eyes, and whispered, "You are not ordinary. You are destiny." It was not a blessing, it was a prophecy, and time, patient, ruthless, honest, would one day prove it true. The first sparks of struggle. But destiny never walks an easy road. Temujin's childhood was carved out of hardship, marked by wounds that shaped his soul long before he understood the world. He had barely begun to speak when tragedy struck his father. Yasuge, a respected leader, was poisoned in a political conspiracy. With his death, the support of the clan evaporated like mist in the desert sun. Without a protector, the family was cast out, abandoned on the freezing steppe to fend for themselves against merciless winters, wild predators, and hunger as sharp as a blade. There was no food, no shelter worth the name, no allies to rely on, only the wide open sky, echoing with the distant howls of wolves, and a family struggling to survive. But nature has a strange rule. Where darkness is deepest, the brightest fires take birth. Temujin's childhood was a battlefield against hunger. He learned to break frozen river ice with bare hands just to drink water. He gathered wild berries, chewed on roots, and hunted small creatures to keep death at bay. He ran over jagged rocks, searched for moisture in tree roots, and learned a single lesson each day. Survival is a weapon. These hardships did not break him. They forged him. They lit a fire in his veins, a fire that no storm, no winter, no enemy could extinguish. The first rebellion. The first roar. Then came the day that gave this fire a voice. A boy from the clan, older, stronger, tried to humiliate Temujin, mocked his weakness, laughed at his poverty, tried to crush the little spark he saw in him. But Temujin was no longer a frightened child. He was a rising ember. With relentless determination, he fought back, not with the strength of his arms, but with the strength of his will. There was no hatred in his eyes, only an unbreakable resolve. He would not bow. He would not shatter. And that day, for the first time, Temujin roared. It was not the roar of a child. It was the roar of a destiny waking up. A roar so deep, so fierce, that even after centuries, history still seems to remember it. The broken boy rose from the ashes, and the fire within him began to burn, to grow, to devour the darkness around him. This fire would one day reshape continents, dismantle kingdoms, build a new world order, and forge the name the world would fear and admire in equal measure. Genghis Khan, the steppes that forged a storm. The Mongolian steppe is not merely land. It is a test, a crucible that separates the weak from the destined. Every gust of wind carries ancient stories. Every open field whispers of warriors long gone. Every night sky, lit with 1 trillion cold stars, reminds its people that life bows to the strong and abandons those who surrender. In this harsh land, Temujin grew not in comfort, but in conflict. Every challenge became a lesson. Every humiliation, a reason to rise. Every threat, a promise to return stronger. He watched his mother, Holin, a woman abandoned by her people, yet unbroken fight, the world with nothing but sheer will. Her courage became his inheritance. Her endurance became his teacher. Her eyes showed him the fire he needed to survive. Temujin was not raised in palaces or trained by elite warriors. His teachers were hunger, betrayal, and solitude. His classrooms were the mountains, the forests, the endless plains. And from them all, he learned one truth. In this world, strength is not given, strength is taken. The making of a legend. As the years passed, Temujin's resolve hardened like steel. He learned diplomacy, alliances, leadership, not from books, but from life. He learned how to read people, how to command loyalty, how to inspire fear, and how to turn enemies into allies. Every wound he suffered became a step toward greatness. Every loss became a reason to rise higher. Slowly, the broken boy became a leader. A leader became a warrior became a force, and a force became a storm that would sweep across Asia, shape Europe, redraw borders, and etch its name into the bones of the earth. But the storm was not born when Temujin became a conqueror. It was born the day a hungry, abandoned boy stood up to a bully and refused to break. That was the moment the world unknowingly witnessed the first roar of Genghis Khan.